On the night of February 28, 2026, a massive wave of coordinated U.S. and Israeli airstrikes slammed into Tehran. The decapitation strikes immediately eliminated Iran's top military generals and the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran fired back within hours, launching hundreds of ballistic missiles simultaneously at Israel and U.S. military bases scattered across the Persian Gulf. Decades of covert proxy skirmishes and targeted assassinations evaporated overnight. The Middle East was instantly plunged into a direct, full-scale regional war. To understand how the conflict escalated so quickly, we have to look back to June 2025 and Israel's preemptive surprise attack, known as Operation Rising Lion. Israeli intelligence gathered evidence showing that Tehran was on the absolute threshold of weaponizing its nuclear material. That offensive lasted 12 days before a U.S.-brokered ceasefire paused the fighting. By then, Israel had severely damaged Iran's air defense network and crippled its nuclear facilities. Operation Rising Lion proved that Iran's proxy network, groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, could no longer shield the Iranian homeland from direct strikes. The countdown to a final, larger confrontation had started. By late 2025, Iran's economy was in freefall, triggering massive, violent protests in the streets of Tehran that quickly spread nationwide. The government responded with lethal force, killing thousands of demonstrators and imposing a total nationwide internet blackout to hide the severity of the crackdown. Against this backdrop of domestic chaos, the newly inaugurated Trump administration took office in early 2026. They immediately reinstated a maximum pressure campaign with the stated goal of regime change in Tehran. Washington backed this policy shift by initiating the largest U.S. naval buildup in the Middle East since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. This deployment converged the USS Abraham Lincoln and the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike groups. A carrier strike group is a massive naval fleet built around a central aircraft carrier, designed to project overwhelming air and sea power across a region. The Iranian regime was now backed completely into a corner, fighting a revolting population at home and facing a massive American armada assembling just off its coastline. Terrified of being caught in the crossfire of an escalating conflict, neighboring Gulf states blocked the U.S. military from accessing their airspace and local bases. Recognizing the threat, Iran officially shifted its military doctrine to an offensive footing, moving its ballistic missiles deep into hardened underground bunkers. This tactical map illustrates how the U.S. and Israel countered with a complex intelligence deception operation. They deliberately fed manipulated radar data and spoofed satellite imagery directly to Iranian intelligence networks. The U.S. intentionally leaked the deployment of F-22 Raptor stealth fighters to southern Israel. They then manipulated the imagery to make other key Israeli bases appear completely empty, creating an illusion of vulnerability. Believing they had an opening, the Iranian leadership panicked. Top commanders abandoned their dispersed locations and gathered in concentrated, supposedly secure facilities to plan a preemptive strike. By weaponizing satellite data and exploiting their targets' threat perceptions, the U.S. and Israel successfully lured the entire Iranian high command into a single fatal trap. Which brings us back to the night of February 28, 2026. The trap was sprung, and the decapitation strikes eliminated the gathered Iranian generals right in the heart of Tehran. Iran retaliated with everything it had left. Hundreds of ballistic missiles and suicide drones launched toward Israel, the UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar. Then, Tehran deployed its ultimate economic weapon, shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is a crucial geographic choke point, and closing it immediately cut off 20% of the global oil supply. Fighting for its sheer survival, the Iranian regime intentionally dragged the entire Persian Gulf into the conflict, directly weaponizing global energy markets. For decades, Iran relied on a forward defense doctrine, a strategy of using proxy militias to fight its battles in other countries. That doctrine was instantly replaced by direct state-on-state ballistic warfare. The U.S. and Israel achieved their stated tactical goals, They decapitated the Iranian government and severely disrupted its nuclear capabilities. But the cost was catastrophic. The multi-front regional war caused massive civilian casualties and destroyed critical infrastructure across multiple sovereign nations. The 2026 conflict permanently ended the era of contained proxy deterrence. The shadow campaigns were over, and the geopolitical map of the Middle East was completely redrawn through direct, high-casualty warfare.